Hi, my name is Raven. Welcome to These Twisted Times. If you enjoy true crime content, I would love for you to subscribe. I upload several times a week, and we have so much fun here on These Twisted Times, and I would love for you to become part of our Twisted family. So this evening I'm trying something new, and for once I won't need a disclaimer of any kind because what happened was a few weeks ago when I was watching YouTube, I heard a story that I had never heard of before, and it kind of opened my mind to an interesting subcategory of cases or situations that I would like to cover here on my channel that are a little lighter, still can generate a lot of conversation and speculation, but not as intense as the true crime and the missing persons cases that I have been covering so far here on YouTube. And if you hear any background noise, please know it is a cat who's sitting on my lap. I will almost always have a cat and a dog or both in the vicinity, as you will have learned if you have watched any of my other videos. Anyway, let me get into the story. I think I'm going to create a category called Historical What the Heck. And this story fits perfectly into that category. I will link the articles I read, and I will also link the channel of the amazing YouTuber where I first learned of this story. And actually, for this particular story, I am going to be reading almost verbatim off of an article because there's so many strange little details and it's not that long, and I just want to make sure that I include all the pertinent details so that when we're conversating about this down below that you know where I've gotten this information from and you have the fullest picture possible. So here we go. Today I'm here to tell you the story of the Kentucky meat shower. This is when meat actually rained from the sky in Kentucky. It was back in 1876 on March 3rd. There was a woman named Mrs. Crouch who was a farmer's wife, and she was making soap on her porch when she reported seeing meat pieces fall from the sky. She said she described herself as being 40 steps from her house when the meat started to slap the ground. And it sounds very grisly. The meat looked grisly, and they wondered if it was a sign of God. And apparently, there are other instances where similar things have happened. Now, most of the pieces of meat were 2 inches by 2 inches or 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters. There was one that was a whole 4-inch by 4-inch peat, and there was a lot of speculation as to what kind of meat it was. There was, at first, it was thought it could be beef, and not surprising to any of the female watchers, certainly not surprising to me, Mrs. Crouch declined the opportunity to try the meat, but there were some men who tried the meat. So the first two gentlemen who tasted it said they thought it was either lamb or deer. Then there was a local hunter who described that it was most likely bear meat. Then there was someone else who had a theory that it was something I have never heard of before. It's called nostoc, and it is a kind of cyanobacteria that falls from the sky. So there was contemplation over what kind of meat it was or whether it was meat at all. And oh my God, it's so creepy. So when it was tested, there were scientists who identified that it was lung tissue from either a horse or a human infant, which apparently they have very similar lung tissue, which is so strangely creepy. Now, they go a little, in this article, they go a little into what this Nostoc cyanobacteria is. It is a clear jelly-like mass when rain falls on it, but the thing is, there was no rain reported that day. So we have the farmers who it actually occurred on their farm. They report it was clear skies. All the neighboring farms also say it was completely clear sky. And this meat just fell down. It happened between 11 a.m. and 12 noon. And there were, of course, many questions. There's still questions. There's still people who theorize what happened. And the most likely scenario, because the cyanobacteria, or whatever it's called, the Nostoc, it was ruled out. And I did, with where I first came across this story, I was shown in that video a picture of that substance, and there are pictures of this substance still on record, which I will include with this video. But the wildest thing is, the most likely description is that this was meat vomited out by vultures flying by. Apparently, when vultures or buzzards, there's two things. If it were buzzards particularly, they have a reaction much like many humans. If they see one of their fellow birds vomiting, then they can't help but vomit themselves. So that's kind of interesting. But also, there's the fact that vultures vomit when they're making a quick escape. So if a vulture had found a dead animal and had eaten quite a bit of the meat, and then someone went to scare them off, or danger was coming and they flew away quickly, that they apparently can naturally vomit up whatever they've been chewing on, or they can also do it as a defensive method against being threatened. But the farmer couple said nothing about there being vultures. So it is completely and utterly, truly bizarre as to how and what could have caused this to happen. I will include photos down below. And there was an occurrence of something similar falling from the sky on March 12th, 1876 in London, in London, England. So maybe I could look that up if that's of interest to any of you. Anyway, I just wanted to make a video that was doing something different. I apologize if it was very dry, seeing as I'm reading it straight off of an article, but I didn't want to miss anything out, and I also wanted to be able to refer to the words like cyanobacteria. I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but at least being able to spell it out right in front of me will help with saying it. But if you enjoyed this kind of story time, let me know, as there are other historical cases that we could talk about that are real head scratchers and aren't directly related to any kind of crime, which of course can be upsetting, especially when you're really diving in deep to the crimes in order to make these videos. Anyway, I wanted to jump on and make this for you guys this evening. Please let me know if you enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed, as I said before, Please do subscribe, like, and comment. And I, at this point, am answering every single comment I receive. So feel free to start a conversation with me. Um, Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.